Welcome back to the channel, and if this is your first time, welcome to Toy Bounty Hunter, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This video is going to be about Farm Boy Luke. I have a couple original molds there from Kenner, and we're going to go over all the different ones that I have collected over time so far. I do plan on collecting more Farm Boy Lukes, but for now, this is what I have, and this is what I want to go over with you guys. Let's take a look at all these Farm Boy Lukes, and I'll go over the different stamps and show you the difference with the faces and etc. Starting from the left, we have a Taiwan Farm Boy Luke. Right next to that, we have a Hong Kong Farm Boy Luke. And then we have the 1995 mold of Farm Boy Luke. And then the last one is the retro Farm Boy Luke that came out recently. I'm going to give you guys a closer look at the Taiwan and the Hong Kong. The Taiwan has definitely got some fade to it, and the Hong Kong is definitely in good shape, but that's a common thing for these Hong Kong action figures. I mean, at least every time I find a Hong Kong action figure that is Star Wars Kenner, sometimes it's in better shape than the Taiwan. I don't know. That's just what happens every time I go toy hunting. And when I look at these figures a little closer, it's always Hong Kong that is always clean. And there is collectors out there that really love collecting the Farm Boy Luke. So I only have a small little collection of it, as you can see, but going over this is always fun. So let's go over the two original Kenner figures, and then I'll go over the other two, and then I'll give you guys a closer look at the faces so you can see the difference. The Taiwan Luke is definitely not in the best shape. You can see that the white is a little bit more brighter on the Hong Kong version. If you look at the legs, if I'm correct, the legs are darker on the Taiwan version rather than the Hong Kong. So it's a little bit more light on the tan on the Hong Kong legs and a little darker on the Taiwan legs. This is what the figures look like up close. And as far as I can tell, I don't really see any big differences. Now, there are some experts out there that can tell me exactly every little detail on what is different between these two. Here is the Taiwan stamp, 1977, baby. So that is the Taiwan stamp right there on the back. Now let's take a look at the Hong Kong. And here's the Hong Kong version. Look how clean that is. A little bit easier to read on his legs. It's just really cool to know that there are different stamps on these figures if you really pay attention and look. Some people really like the variants. Some really don't care where it came from. They just want to have the figure. So I'm kind of like both. Sometimes I do care and sometimes I don't. I'm a little wishy-washy sometimes. But it's just cool to have a Farm Boy Luke in general. You gotta have one of those in your collection. Am I wrong? But as far as having an original vintage, I was so happy to find this one right here. He was in really good shape. I mean, he's clean. He's really clean. The lightsaber's original, and I got it for a good deal. I think I only paid like 30 bucks for this figure. I couldn't walk away. I mean, I've seen so many Farm Boy Lukes out in the wild, but they always have that discolored look to them, and I don't want to touch the figure and put peroxide or any of that kind of stuff on them. But having that one Farm Boy Luke, this is it right here. I think I love the Hong Kong version. When we go back out toy hunting again, I will try to remember to find a Taiwan Farm Boy Luke that is maybe as good as the Hong Kong. I honestly didn't even know I had both at one point. I had to go and check and realized, oh shit, one of them's Taiwan and one of them's Hong Kong. So I didn't even know that. It was an accident. So I bought two of the Power of the Force Classic Edition 4-packs, and I opened one of them. So I have an extra Chewie, Vader, and Han Solo that has got the 1995 stamp on them. This is the Farm Boy Luke that was molded in 1995 from the original molds of the action figures. And Kenner did that, not Hasbro. So there is a Kenner marking on the back. So technically speaking, it is a real Kenner. I never even knew that they had that at Toys R Us, and a lot of you guys did. So if you got some stories about it, please drop it in the comments below. It'd be really cool to read. It's really cool to look at. It looks just like the original. And the back of it is very clean as well. But let me show you guys the stamp on his leg so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And then we'll hop over to the retro Farm Boy Luke. As you can see, it says 1995 LFL, and then right under it, it says Kenner, China. So Kenner did make these figures, which is really cool. Um, Having this, I mean, I think it's really awesome just to have one of these in your collection. So now we're hopping over to the retro Farm Boy Luke. So many people, this is where it gets a little deep. Some people really cannot stand these retro figures coming out. The faces on these retro figures definitely have their own look compared to the original action figures. Even the classic 4-pack that the Power of the Force made, those ones look a little bit more closer to the original figures. But I think that's because they actually used the real same molds. As far as the retro, I don't know. They just look different. But I do find it cool that we can buy it nowadays. My dad grew up buying the original Star Wars, so it's my chance to get to buy action figures that he grew up buying, but just they are made from Hasbro. Does kind of kill me. I'm not really a big new Star Wars fan. I like George Lucas's films, even the prequels that he made. I grew up with Phantom of Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. And my dad grew up with the first three. So I'm kind of glad I was part of the other three and not a part of this new Force Awakens crap. Sorry, but I'm not a fan. I just kind of get my feelings about it. As far as Mandalorian, I think they did a great job with that. Grogu is pretty freaking cool, so I am a fan for that. But those newer films kind of hurt my feelings. So honestly, I walked out on the what was it called, The Last Jedi or whatever. I walked out on that. I just couldn't do it anymore. I honestly told the movie theater I should get my money back because that's how horrible it was. And here's the stamp that they have on the back of them. It still says LFL, and they have all these little numbers on the top. So seeing those right there on both the legs, you can definitely tell that it's the retro Luke. Besides, looking at that face, take a look at these faces. Look how different it really looks when you really look at these things. Now, the 1995 compared to the 1977, that's almost spot on. I mean, that looks really good. And if you look at the retro over here on the left, come on, you can definitely tell. But isn't that cool that they came out with all of these? I think it's amazing that we can add these to our collection. Let's go over the Power of the Force Classic 4-pack edition. Let's take a closer look at that box. Here we are, the Star Wars Power of the Force Classic Edition 4-pack. On the top right, if you look closely, it says, cast from the original figures. That is awesome. That's really cool that they decided to do this. A lot of people look at this and laugh, or they just don't find any kind of interest in this. I found this one at Toy Federation. The other one that I bought and opened, I actually took those figures and made a little scene out of them. Now, I've seen these on Facebook Marketplace go for like 40, 50 bucks, or on Etsy or eBay, it's the same price. So roughly 40 to 50 bucks is what people will pay for this boxed. And this box is in really good shape. I just happened to find an extra one and decided to keep it. So let's take a look at the back of this thing. But here is the back of the box. And as you can see, they have some action figures on there. And yes, all of those guys have taken steroids. That's why they look so beefy and badass. You got the ATST, the Falcon, and TIE Fighter, and an X-Wing. They just wanted to advertise these things so you guys could buy them. And a lot of people did go crazy over the Power of the Force too. I myself went crazy as a little kid, but I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I always wondered why my dad was very protective of his other Star Wars toys. Well, come to find out, those are the real deal. Come on, Pops. They also have a little backstory on the back of the box, which I will get a shot of that for you guys.
To commemorate the rich history of the Star Wars film series, Kenner presents this classic edition 4-pack in a strictly limited release. 4 of the most popular characters have been produced from molds cast directly from the original Kenner action figures, dating to the late 1970s and early 1980s. This special edition comes as a new era for Star Wars toys, proudly unveiled. Look for the all new line of Kenner action figures and vehicles that capture all the detail, authenticity, and excitement of the epic Star Wars tradition.
That's why I wanted to keep this box. It has that on there, and also just it saying cast from the original figures. That's really cool. I mean, just to put this thing on the wall, why not? It's pretty cool, man. So here's the setup that I was talking about. The Vader, the Luke, Chewbacca, and Han Solo are also from the classic 4-pack edition from Kenner. I decided to put these guys on this little setup. Hope you guys have a good one. Hope you enjoyed the video. May the Force be with you, my Star Wars friends.